Hello students, in today's class we will study about Coulomb's law and Coulomb's law in vector form and dielectric constant. In the last class we have studied about Goldilf electroscope and we have studied about the properties of charges. So in today's class we will be starting with Coulomb's law. First of all, Coulomb's law. The Coulomb's law states that the force of interaction between any two point charge is directly proportional to the multiplication of the charges and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. Means if there are two charges, for example take charge q1 and charge q2 which are separated by a distance small r, then there will be a force between the two charges. The force may be attractive or repulsive. Here I have taken same charges, so the force will be repulsive force. If there was a negative charge, then the force would have been a attractive force. Whatever force it may be, either repulsive or attractive, that force of interaction is directly proportional to the multiplication of two charges, that is q1 q2, and it is inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. Combiningly we can write it as F proportional to q1 q2 divided by r square. After removing proportionality we will get a constant. That constant is K. Here K is electrostatic constant. K value is 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught. If you substitute volume of 1, 4 pi and epsilon naught, that is 8.85 into 10 raised to minus 12, you will get a constant value, that is 9 into 10 raised to 9 Newton meter square per Coulomb square. And epsilon naught represents the electrical permittivity of free space. Its value is 8.85 into 10 raised to minus 12 Coulomb square per Newton meter square. Now vector form of Coulomb's law, that was scalar form of Coulomb's law. In that we dealt with only magnitude. We studied about only magnitude of charges. Now how we can write the expression for Coulomb's law in vector form? For that we have considered here two charges, charge q1 which is at a position vector r1 from the origin O, and charge q2 which is at a position vector r2 from origin O. Now these two charges are present in xy plane and each charge exerts a force on the other charge. A charge q1 exerts a force charge q2. You can see a red arrow mark. F21 represents the force exerted by charge q1 on q2. The distance between the two charge is taken as r12, position vector. The first arrow which is directed towards q2, that is r12. Similarly, the charge q2 exerts a force on charge q1 in the opposite direction, which is shown in another way, in the opposite direction to the first force. The force exerted by charge q2 on charge q1 is F12, and the distance will be along r2 q2 to q1, so that is why separation between the two charges is taken as r21. Separation, how you will be writing? If you are taking a radial vector from q1, if the force is exerted on q2 due to q1, then the separation is taken as r12. If the force is on q1 due to q2, then the separation is taken as r21. Here r12 and r21 represents the displacement vector, r1 and r2 represent the position vector. So force on q1 due to charge q2, F12 is equals to K. K is a constant. K value is 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught. So instead of writing 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught, I have written K. So K into q1 q2 divided by separation between the charge q1 and q2. I am calculating force on charge q1 due to q2. So that is why separation, what we have to take? We have to take separation as r21 square into r21 cap. This is the difference between scalar form and vector form. In scalar form you just wrote the distance, separation between the two charges, that is r square, but in vector form you will write the direction also, in which direction the force is acting. So here the force direction is from charge q2 to Q1. So that is why here it is taken as R21, and here R21 cap represents the unit vector. Now similarly, force on Q2 due to Q1. The force on Q2 due to Q1 is taken as F21. So F21 is equals to again K constant Q1 Q2 divided by separation between the charge Q1 and Q2. Now in which direction the direction of force is? The direction of a force is from charge Q1, because Q1 is exerting force on Q2. So direction of force is from Q1 to Q2. So that is where separation we will take it as R12. I hope you understood this. R12 square into R12 cap. Here again R12 cap represents the unit vector. So by using triangle law of vector addition, we will calculate this R21 and R12 value. For example, here R2, R21 both are along the same direction. If there are three vectors and if two vectors are along the same direction, then the third vector which closes the two vectors, that gives the resultant vector. This is a triangle law of vector addition. I think you have studied this. So now here R2 and R21 are along the same direction. So we can take R2 plus R21 is equals to resultant vector R1. Now we want to calculate the R21 value, that is distance R21 value. So we can write vector R21 is equals to, take R2 to the RHS side, it will become minus R2. So vector R21 is equals to vector R1 minus vector R2. And unit vector R21, how we will write unit vector as? Unit vector is written as vector R2 divided, your vector R21 divided by R21, that is its vector divided by its magnitude. It is called as unit vector. Similarly for R12, now for R12 vector R2, and here for R12 for vector R1 and vector R12 both are along the same direction, whereas vector R2 is the resultant vector. So we can write vector R1 plus vector R12 is equals to vector R2. Now we want vector R12 value, we want to calculate vector R12 value. So how to calculate that? So vector R12 is equals to vector R2 will be as it is minus vector R1. So R12 cap, that is unit vector R12 is equals to vector R12 divided by magnitude of R12. So this is the way of representing Coulomb's law in vector form. So when we are dealing with scalar form, we will just deal with the magnitude, we will not deal in which direction the force is acting. But if you want to know in which direction the force is acting, then we will use Coulomb's law in vector form. Next comes dielectric constant, that is K or epsilon r. So dielectric constant, we can define it as the ratio of absolute electrical permittivity of the medium to the electrical permittivity of the free space. So permittivity means what? Number of allowance which allows the electric field, so that is called as permittivity. So dielectric constant is a ratio of permittivity of medium to the permittivity of free space. It is represented by epsilon r also. So epsilon r is equals to epsilon divided by epsilon naught. Epsilon naught represents the absolute permittivity in free space. It is also written as force in area, electric force in area divided by electric force in medium. The absolute permittivity is also defined as the ratio of electric force in air medium to the other medium. Now for air medium, dielectric constant value is always 1, remember this, and for metals dielectric constant K value is infinity. Hence we can write 1 less than, dielectric constant will be greater than 1 and it will be lesser than infinity. Moving to next topic, that is electric field lines. Before discussing electric field lines, I would like to tell the definition about electric field. Electric field is defined as the space or region around a charge. Now when we will say that any charge has got the electric field, the force exerted by that charge should be experienced by another charge. Now if I have a charge q, so how I will say that this charge q has got the electric field? If it exerts some force on the neighboring charge, then only we will come to know that it has got the electric field. So electric field is defined as the region or space around a charge whose influence can be experienced by the neighboring charge which is placed in its area. It is called as the charge has got the electric field. Now electric field lines means what? Electric field lines are the curves which gives the visualization of the electric field. If I ask you to draw the electric field, how you will draw? With the help of electric field lines. Electric field is represented by electric field lines which are in the form of curves. So these electric field lines are in such a way that if I draw a tangent at any point, that tangent shows the direction of electric field. You can see here q is a charge and this is a curve drawn to that charge, and if I draw a tangent at point P, then this arrow shows the direction of electric field at that point P. And similarly at the point Q, if I draw the tangent, then at that point the direction of electric field will be in the opposite direction, not in the same direction. So tangent drawn at a curve gives us the direction of electric field. So the magnitude of the field is represented by the density of the field lines. More the number of electric field lines, more the electric field will be. So we can define electric field lines as the electric field as the electric field lines crossing per unit area. More the number of electric field lines passing through any area, more will be the electric field. Now let us study about the properties of this electric field lines. What are the properties of this electric field lines? The first property of electric field line, electric field lines are continuous curves. As I have already told you that electric field lines continuous curves, but they are not closed. Make it clear. They are curves, but they are not closed curves. They are continuous curves, right? They start from a positively charged body and end at the negatively charged body. You can see in the diagram here, there are two charges. One is positive charge and negative charge. For positive charge, the direction of arrow mark is away from the charge, whereas for negative charge, the direction of arrow mark is towards the charge. This means electric field direction will be from positive to negative. It will move from positive end to the negative end. So similarly, I have taken two charges here. One is positive charge and negative charge. You can see that for negative charges, the arrow mark is inward. For positive charge, the arrow mark is outward. Means electric field lines through any body enters through the negative charge and it emerge out from the positive charge. So electric field direction will be from positive to negative. Remember this point. So this is the first property of electric field lines. Now coming to the second property of electric field lines. Second property of electric field lines says that no electric field lines exist inside a charged body. Means if I consider a conductor, there will not be electric field lines inside that. The electric field will be on the upper surface of that. Thus, electrostatic field lines do not form a continuous closed loop. So this is the second property of electric field lines. First property is that electric field lines are continuous curves and they start from positive end and end at the negative end. Second property is that electric field lines does not exist inside a charged body. It will be on the upper surface of this charged body. As a result, electric field lines are not closed loops. Electric field lines do not form a closed loop. So that is the second property. Third property, it says that tangent drawn to the electric field line at any point gives the direction of electric field intensity at that point. So tangent drawn to the curve gives us the direction of electric field line. I have discussed about this point. So this is a third property. Fourth property, no two electric field lines intersect with each other. Two electric field lines never intersect with each other, because if they intersect with each other, then we have to draw a tangent for two different curves. Then there will be two direction of electric field, which is not possible. So two electric field lines never intersect with each other. Fifth property is the electric field lines are always normal to the surface. Electric field lines are not parallel to the surface. Electric field lines will be always perpendicular to the surface of a conductor. All the electric field lines are perpendicular to the direction of a conductor, and the electric field inside a conductor is equals to 0. So that there will be no component of electric field intensity parallel to the surface of a conductor. So this is the fifth property of electric field lines. The sixth property, for uniform electric field, the field lines are linear and equidistant. You can see the first diagram in the sixth property, that is the electric field lines for uniform electric field. All the field lines are uniform and they are at an equal distance from each other, whereas for non-uniform electric field, the field lines are not uniform and they are not at an equal distance from each other. They are varying, their distance is varying. So this is the representation of electric field lines for uniform and for non-uniform field. Seventh property of electric field line is the field lines around a system of two positive charges gives a pictorial representation of their mutual repulsion. So two positive charge, the pictorial representation of field lines will be repulsive. For positive, negative charge, the pictorial representation of field lines will be attractive.